Welcome to the Lorehounds podcast. We're the Lorehounds, your guides to psychohistory. I'm John.
And I'm Marilyn. This is our coverage of Foundation on Apple TV+, Season 3, Episode 4, The Stress of Her Regard. If you want to get in touch with us, send an email to empire@thelorehounds.com or head to our Discord server from the link tree in the show notes and meet some really fabulous people.
Absolutely. And if you want to become an even more integral part to our community and support us and get ad-free and bonus content, check the same link tree for our Patreon and Supercast subscription options. Marilyn, we're here almost to the midpoint of the season. Season 3, Episode 4. What do you think?
What I think is, wow. This is just, I really enjoyed this episode. It was fun to see some of the spy stuff and the noir lurking around in the lower levels and callbacks in that respect. I thought that this episode had a few excellent reveals and a couple of unexpected turns. So things keep getting revealed and sometimes resolved, but some questions are created at the same time. So it's really a nice mixture of not making mystery boxes go on too long, but always offering more.
Agree. That is a nice thing of this format, where we're jumping in, a couple centuries or a century each season. And so you kind of have to wrap up a lot of things every season. Yeah. And that's been a nice treat.
Yes, it has. And of course, as always, the visuals are stunning. They're just amazing. And the use of camera technology, technique, and things that I really know nothing about, but there was one in particular that even caught my untutored attention that I'll mention further on down the line. Oh, and a question here. In our episode, on episode 2, I think you mentioned Dawn possibly being the emperor under whom the empire will dissolve. But the last statue in the lineup of the opening sequence looks like Dude Day to me.
Huh.
And so I'm wondering if that's a hint that this Dawn will never become a day.
Yeah.
Approaching Ascension notwithstanding.
Yeah, I think that's right, especially now that we see that he's going out of town, right? And so you can't coronate him. Is that the right verb? Anyway, you can't coronate him.
It's an interesting.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
How about
you
crown?
Can't put a crown. You can't crown. There you go.
There you go.
Crowned a new day if he's not there.
It's hard.
I guess Demerzel could decant a new one.
Well, I think that's what she's going to have to do if she's going to maintain, the ongoing current situation. That's about all she can do, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
What about you?
I will say this was my least favorite of the episodes this season.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you have to tell me more, or us more.
There was a little bit of the rom-com thing that was developing, love triangle perhaps, that I'm not a huge fan of. And just in the same way episode 1 had a lot of exposition for setting things up, this one felt like setting up phase 2 of the season, right? And so this felt like we are sort of splitting off into different directions, and that's fine, but it's not as good TV as when we're actually living the events, right? And I'm not faulting the episode. I think that it's honestly a good way to set up the second part of the season. But just from a strict, my least favorite of 4 good episodes, sure. I think this is my least favorite, and that's totally fine. Not every episode can be my favorite.
Yeah, that's kind of tough, isn't it?
Yep.
Although sometimes I feel that way. But
yeah, we get the recency bias in, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention, knowledge of the series as a whole and all that sort of thing.
Right.
I'm interested that you think there may be a love triangle. I'm not getting that, but I have to wait and see what it is you're looking at before I can say for sure whether or not this is.
Oh, I think they're absolutely pulling towards Dawn having a crush on Gale, who is a little bit in love with Han, but Han's like super head over heels over her. I think they are absolutely pointing to that.
I could see that. I just think that Gale is in a position of, I'm sorry, I can't have any relationships. And the sort of, when you're a being that has the capacity to quote unquote live forever, the thought of forming those kinds of relationships, aside from just being scary, is kind of depressing.
Right.
because you know they're all going to die on you. So what then?
Right.
And of course, who knows what's going to happen with Dawn? What his long term? How long is he going to hold on?
Yeah, and I think Gail, if the mule were dealt with, she might be like, all right, I'll take my reward now. But
yeah, that's a thought.
But I don't think that she's ready to at this point. And I think that's fair. And Han, I just never really liked the whole, oh, but we should be together now, even if it's inconvenient. I'm like, all right, focus up.
Yeah, that kind of rang false to me too. And of course, let's remember that the showrunners are going to be doing their own thing here, and so who knows what they have in mind?
Yeah, that could be. All right, well, why don't we get right into the episode, starting with a confession.
Mm-hmm.
Demerzel confesses to Varellis that she orchestrated the destruction of the Star Bridge by Anacreon and Thespis to save Harry Seldon from execution. She did so to save the Foundation and extend the life of Empire. She questions whether she can be reborn, and Varellis tells her she already has and will be again after Empire's end. Demerzel lashes out at Varellis and expels her from Eden.
I love the way you put that at the very end. Expels her from Eden. That hadn't occurred to me, but it's definitely a resonant image, isn't it?
And she almost hisses at her, doesn't she?
Like a snake, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. See what I'm getting at here?
I do.
All right.
I see where you're going with this.
The way she pulls back. It was so funny. I was on Reddit the other day, and again, we're ahead of the show. And so I just lurk on Foundation Reddit. I don't want to speculate and accidentally spoil something for somebody.
Sure.
But
sure.
I saw somebody say, I feel like they haven't shown Demerzel be threatening enough. And I had already seen this, and I'm thinking, oh boy, wait till next week.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for. You might just get it.
This Demerzel was terrifying. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah. I mean, when she pulls the whole "here's my real face" trick, I mean, it's
right.
Like,
the
really
Demernator.
But the thing is, well, I mean, you're getting into this whole question of humanity and human responses, and it has to have affected her. I mean, there's another scene that we'll talk about later on in which she seems to me to be demonstrating genuine love. And I find that really interesting. It fits in to some degree with some stuff from the original sources, but yeah, I find it very interesting. I love the way they opened with the chant of the Luminists. That was just beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't put that in the outline, but really beautiful tone setting.
Yeah, they set the whole thing very nicely. And I know my first thoughts about Varellis this third time around, it was just so consistent that she seems fairly monofacial in expression to me. But on the other hand, since that facial expression is composed of bewilderment and fear, I suppose that's appropriate. Right. I mean, she must be shaking in her boots. Talk about devotion to your calling and your your ordination or whatever process it is they use.
Right.
I'm sure she'd rather be at least 16 other places than this, but a luminist who is recognized as a luminist has called for this, and she's the one that was asked to fill, and so there she is.
Right, exactly.
And she's brave enough to offer her counsel, regardless of Demerzel's growing annoyance, which, wow, I mean, talk about commitment to what you believe.
I know. Even when Demerzel says, cut it out, she goes forward with it. And I think that was
right
really
on
brave.
going. She keeps right on going. And says that Demerzel's behavior sounds like a woman who wants her freedom at any cost. Are we talking about, home truths that Demerzel just can't quite bring herself to accept, and so she lashes out at the source?
I think that could be true. Now, we also did reveal the cause of the Star Bridge collapse, which was a mystery since season 1.
Good point.
Because it didn't seem like it made sense. The motivations didn't seem like they totally made sense.
Right. But now we know that it was this underlying principle. Could be interesting to go back and watch those episodes from season 1 and just see if there were any sort of hints that we might not have picked up on that they dropped in there.
I think Demerzel has her tells all together, though.
Probably.
And honestly, I think that works for a robot, right? Like if it was a human, maybe they lose control a little bit and you see them tilt their hand. But I think it makes sense for Demerzel to have covered all her bases. And nobody finds out unless she wants them.
Particularly, you know, how many hundred of years ago is that now?
Oh, yeah. Nobody even cares anymore why they did it. They just care that it happened.
Right. And Demerzel's whole process of slowly coming to realize, and then suddenly the mule comes along, and all of her numericals keep telling her, you know, this is going to end in 4 months. Yeah. So how does she work that into her equations? But Varellis is using Demerzel's own words to try and bring her to see what Varellis perceives to be the truth. Mm-hmm. That Demerzel has called her here. That Demerzel doubts that she's in the Mother's grace because she cannot die. In addition to the existential question of, what am I if there's no more empire? What am I going to be? Who am I going to be? Whatever.
Right. And I love this tension that she points out, that Varellis points out, with Demerzel seeing only the facial value of the Foundation at first. She saves the Foundation and Harry Seldon, thinking that will extend the life of Empire in the short term.
Right.
And yet, she actually helped bring down Empire by saving the Foundation, because the Foundation is a major cause of the fall of Empire.
Yes, and they have a wonderful line about the Cleons don't listen to strong arguments, they listen to strong emotions, or something like that. I have it in my notes somewhere, but I'm not seeing it right now. But Varellis's idea is kind of turning Demerzel's understanding of events completely on its head, because she thinks, Varellis does, that it may be that Demerzel has died with each new iteration of herself. From Demerzel the General to Demerzel the last robot, as far as she knows, to Demerzel being reprogrammed to serve the Cleons and not the Zeroth Law. And to Varellis, these things represent a death every time. Certainly a transformation of personality, whatever. And she picks her words very carefully, but nonetheless, Demerzel tells her, look, the General would have destroyed me. And still, Varellis presses on, saying that Demerzel is now an entirely different person. And that's when Demerzel literally rips off her face. Rips off the mask, if you like. And says that Varellis is mistaking her for a human and sending her away. Every question that Demerzel has asked has been a human question.
I know.
Existential dread. Identity crisis. Religious questions, spiritual questions. How can Demerzel not see, unless she doesn't want to see, that she is becoming more and more human?
I mean, as a human, she has to take responsibility for her actions, right? She's not just following programming.
You don't think that there's a choice point in how you follow your programming?
I do, but a human doesn't, theoretically, a human doesn't have the directive to begin with, right? You can choose your next action regardless. Yeah. And it's really interesting, this idea of like, this Demerzel has become such a threat to the survival of humanity with the Zeroth Law that the General Demerzel would have destroyed her.
Yeah.
Why is Demerzel such a big threat? Does Harry know? Does Vault Harry at least know how big a threat Demerzel is?
Yeah, does Vault Harry think of her as a threat or as a tool to be used?
Yeah. Why not both?
She's a Roma. Why not both? Sure. Why not both? But she's asking for human insight and wisdom, and Varellis has this. But Demerzel just doesn't seem to comprehend it. I wonder if she even understands how very human her questions are.
Right.
And how else can Varellis respond to them except as a human?
Right. She doesn't know what it feels like to be a robot.
No. And I expect she's probably pretty glad that she doesn't know.
Right.
So without even realizing it, it's Demerzel who's locked her in this conundrum box, locked herself in this conundrum box.
Right.
By, on the one hand, responding to all these urges within her, which are certainly, I don't think, full of zeros and ones. They're not, analog there, or whatever. They're not computer binary.
Yeah.
That's the word I want. They're not binary. They are existential questions. Who am I? What am I? I mean, why wasn't she thinking these things way back when she became a luminist?
Maybe it needed time to cook. She's an advanced luminist now.
Well, and it's true. If one stays with the spirituality, one grows in it over time, and you get a deeper understanding, and perhaps that deeper and deeper level was more and more likely to come into conflict with her basic binary nature. I don't know. I find it fascinating. I mean, for people who aren't interested in these things, I suppose it could have been a, let's carry on to the action kind of a moment. But I just think it's wonderful. And I love that they're doing it, and I love the way they're doing it. And I hope that we haven't seen the last of Varellis.
There's also this aspect of, her mission's demise is imminent now.
Yes.
And that really reframes, people, no atheists in foxholes, right? Is that's the the expression I'm thinking of here.
That's right.
Her circumstances have materially changed, and it does make her reevaluate her life and her programming and her faith. So I think this all makes sense. This all tracks.
And so now I find myself thinking of that famous episode from the very first iteration of Star Trek, the original series of, I think it's V'ger. It's one of the ones where you have a robotic creature who is determined to, rid the galaxy of all these pernicious human beings. And they use the function of computer logic because V'ger has confused Captain Kirk as V'ger's creator. And so V'ger's journey, V'ger's programming, which has been damaged sometime in his point of space, is to eliminate all that is not perfect. And so Kirk finally confronts him and says, so I am the Kirk, the creator. And V'ger says, you are the Kirk, you are the creator. And Kirk says, you're wrong. Your creator died hundreds of years ago. I'm not him. You are flawed. You are faulty. Execute your prime function. And it sends him into this loop. And, and he starts to burn out and so forth. And I love Spock's response. It's, your logic was flawless, Captain. We are in grave danger. We are in grave danger. So now I'm wondering if they were thinking about that episode and, what happens when you present binary computers with very human conundra.
Every time you say binary, I want to do the Doctor Who binary.
Well, that's the only word I know for it. So if there are better language,
I know. No, you're right.
Please tell me.
Right. You're right. It's just I have brain rot from watching too much Doctor Who.
Oh, well, there are worse things to get brain rot from, I think.
All right, let's go to Ignis.
On
Ignis, Han Pritchard reunites with his friend Preem and his love interest, Gail. The latter two view Han's memories of the mule, and Preem determines that the music amplifies the mule's influence. Han admits that the mule got Gail's name out of him, but not the location of the second foundation. Later, Gail and Han discuss the upcoming crisis of a civil war between the Foundation and the traitors. After indulging in their romance, Han suggests marriage to Gail, but she refuses and sends him away.
So first off, I'm delighted to find out that my suspicion that Han is a second foundation is true. So 10 points to my house.
I did not call that at all. I'm very impressed with you, Marilyn.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be impressed. It's great to impress you, John. I value that very much.
I when I'm impressed, I'm impressed.
And I don't see how else he could have perceived the mule's effect and known it for what it was.
Yeah, if nobody else could.
If nobody else did. I mean, we had a whole dance floor of people who just thought they were grooving out to the music. He knew something was happening, and he knew that the mule knew that he knew.
Right.
So that, to me, you can only be a mentalist to have that. And I mean, I think some people in chat in Discord suggested that, well, maybe he had the ability, but he didn't know that he had, and all that kind of thing. But I think the fact that he was resisting it and knew he had to get out said to me, okay, he's got some kind of training here.
Right.
So, yeah. It wasn't until the second viewing of the second episode that I finally recognized that pendant around her neck. It's very prominent in that second episode. They make a real point of showing it to us a number of times. Hello. And so when earlier on we had seen, when the woman tries to make some moves on Han, he says, oh, I have a commitment. And he holds up this thing and everybody says, oh, what is it? Now we know, which is, satisfying.
Yeah. That's interesting too, that Han even kind of risks blowing his cover because he has a mysterious girlfriend who lives in Canada. And, but he does risk blowing his cover, right? Is this fact that he's like, I have a mysterious lover. And, if you're trying to hide that you're in the Second Foundation, I guess maybe I'm overthinking this because the books
you are.
finding the Second Foundation is like a thing, like,
it is.
You might be suspicious of them. But here, the First Foundation is completely oblivious to the Second Foundation, unlike the books where, and I know we've gotten some comments, maybe don't talk about the books as much, but I'm going to say it here, the fact that the First Foundation knew about the Second Foundation from the beginning in the books. Right. And that's a big difference. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that didn't bother me at all because, hey, he's clearly a player, he gets around, he's in Secret Service and security and all this kind of stuff. So, a commitment out of how many thousands of women and men that he knew or encountered or whatever. And it could even have been something religious or, some kind of a vow he took as part of his Secret Service or, it could have been anything.
Right. He's the descendant of Brother Constant, and he doesn't feel like he should have any ties.
That was a speculation, of course, listeners. We don't have any notion if he's related to Constant or not.
Oh, no, I'm just joking.
I know. I found it interesting that Preem, the current first speaker, could hear the music from Han's transmission of his encounter with the mule, even in his deafness, and recognize its importance immediately. And
could feel the music, I feel like.
Right. As I understand it, deaf persons can hear music through vibrations or sense it through vibrations or
Beethoven wrote the whole Ninth Symphony with his ear to the piano, right?
Right. Though he had previous however many decades with hearing to be able to sort all this out. He actually, according to one thing, Beethoven actually put his teeth on the piano to really get the vibration
going. My God. All because, do you know why they think that they figured out why he went deaf? And it was that they would use, I think it was a lead compound. To put in your wine to get the acid to the bottom if it's spoiled.
Yeah.
So they were just drinking lead.
Yep.
Great.
Not going to be helpful. Don't
do that, kids. Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Also, if you're a kid, why are you drinking wine?
Hello.
Don't do that.
Yeah, so I wondered if there was some analog with this for how Preem could be hearing Magnifico's music, or possibly he was hearing it as Han actually had heard it. I don't know. I'd be fascinated if we have any deaf folks in the community who would care to write in and offer their notions about this, because I'd really be interested to know what people with experiential knowledge might have to say about it.
Yeah, our podcast is transcribed, so maybe we do have some deaf listeners, readers.
There we go.
And so if you're here, please contribute.
Yes. And I found it interesting that the coercive aspect of the music comes through regardless of the perception or otherwise of the quote-unquote notes of the music. So maybe Preem's understanding is entirely experiential through Han's own experience, and that's what they're sharing. That might be a way to describe it. But it raised some interesting questions for me. Right.
I think he's sort of feeling what Han felt while hearing the music.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. Makes sense. So, my two favorite lines. Han says, assassination is a failure of spycraft. Gale responds, wait for it. Violence is the last resort of the incompetent.
Yep.
So
I heard that line and I said,
it's still here.
I said, Marilyn is going to be so pleased with this line.
You know me so well, John. Interestingly, this is the first time that this happened for me. The musical theme with the two of them by the lakeside is quite reminiscent, if not quite similar, to Galadriel's theme from Rings of Power.
Interesting. I'll have to go back and listen to that because I didn't pick up on that, but I believe you.
It's mostly in the seventh jump. So, yeah, that was the same thing as with the opening too.
That's a unique jump, Not a lot of people do those.
So, also confirmed my suspicions that Toran and Beta are Second Foundation as well as First Foundation.
You think they are?
Well, it was confirmed. They were talking about them, and we saw their images flash up at one point, and they say, so you better rein in your two.
I don't think so.
Was I overinterpreting that?
I don't think that they're part of the Second Foundation. I think they are just First Foundation.
Huh.
Because otherwise, why would Toran have been able to go up to the mule?
Fair point.
No, I think they were discussing like their usefulness, basically. Han and Gale were discussing their usefulness. Yeah, I don't think they're Second Foundation.
And they called them his they had a specific
like
name,
companions or something.
Stand-ins or something.
Yeah.
And it's true, he did kind of recruit them to so that he could be their plus one to get into the party and so yeah, you're probably right. I find it interesting, over the course of Han's life, he and Gale have had exactly 32 days together.
Yeah.
That kind of puts things in an interesting perspective.
Right.
And even with that,
maybe that's not enough for a marriage.
Well, it wouldn't be for me, but, I can't speak for other people on that one. But
I'll speak for them. Don't do that.
Yeah, no.
If it works for you, it works for you. I'm not one to judge. I'm just joking around.
Yeah. But even with that small amount of contact, 32 days, the mule detects Gale through Han because Gale says he is holding her too closely.
Mm.
And you know what? That kind of disappointed me because, alas, here we have the usual trope of the downfall of a hero through his love. And I'm like, oh, please.
I know.
Aren't we past this by now? Come on, people. We can do better than this.
Yeah. I'm totally with you, Marilyn. I think that this is a very silly relationship that they're building here. And I just hope they do something unexpected with it. But
I didn't mind
the
relationship. I didn't mind the fact that relationship.
No, the way they're handling it. Yeah.
But the way, the fact that it's dangerous, oh no, forbidden love and all that. Yeah, come on. We can make it more interesting than that.
Right. Well, let's take a quick break and then we are going to prime the Radiant.
Hey everyone, David here. Wanted to tell you about a company that makes some really beautiful Middle-earth inspired products. Actually, I wish I had discovered OSHA slings when my daughter was little and I was using a lot of different baby slings and carriers. They sent me one of their Ancients of Gondor Ithilden baby carriers. Honestly, the design of this carrier is cool as hell. The quality is impeccable. It's a really smart design and super easy to use. I wish I had this when I needed it. I would have loved to show off my dad nerd cred at the time. But they also sent me a really nice blanket, the Misty Mountains Throw. And now that same daughter, she monopolizes it whenever she's on the couch. It's beautiful, just the right weight. It's brushed cotton, so it's breathable and keeps us really cozy. We've been having a lot of cold weather lately, so we're always fighting over who gets to use it. A little about OSHA. They're a family-owned Scottish company. They've been handcrafting products since about 2010. Everything's ethically sourced and made in their solar-powered workshop. Check out their website. They've got a bunch of information about their sustainability practices. That's something that's really important to me. And they have this huge line of official Lord of the Rings products. They're making baby carriers, throws, scarves, mugs, tea towels, and the designs are stunning. Like, go check out the website right now. There's a link in the show notes. New customers get 10% off with the code Lorehounds. Go to OSCHAslings.com.
We're back to discuss the Prime Radiant, the thing that started it all. Ebling Miss visits Mayor Inber and confesses he has woken Selden and that the vault will open in 75 hours. He tells Inber that Selden gave the Prime Radiant to Empire, and they call Ambassador Quent. Upon learning this, Quent confronts Dusk, who relents and allows her to view and hold it.
Yeah, now, I just thought this was really very bad politicking, or not politicking, but anyway, I thought it was very bad practice that she's walking into public square, holding in her hand this visual image that anybody close by can hear him saying, "Oh yeah, and I told him that you gave her the private radiant." She's like, "What?
Nobody's like, "Is this a secure line?" It's what are those? I mean, in our current government, and I don't know, like our current federal government, from what I've heard from people in like national security, I've never dealt with anything like that. But they even are supposed to like go into these, I forgot what they're called, but these like call booths basically, where it's all secure. Yeah. Like you're not supposed to take it on your personal cell phone. You know, some people like to use Signal, but
we've heard this, haven't we?
Right, exactly. But like that's the kind of security I would expect even in that time is something. At least put your AirPods on.
And so what does she do? She puts the earphones on, and she sits in the public square. And everybody around her can hear what she's saying. And I mean, come on, people.
Maybe she thinks plebeians, they don't matter. I
guess
I could see
that's
that.
what she thinks, but I'm sorry. It's I don't know that she's an excellent representation of the Foundation. If
I don't think so
at all. This is the kind of behavior she's undertaking.
But I think that's part of the rot of the Foundation, right? You see Mayor Inber, this incompetent, feckless mayor. You see her just, kind of drinking wine with Dusk and never really getting anything useful out of him, and never really coming to any kind of agreements. Just kind of, it's exactly what people hate about politics, right? It's just rich people in rooms swishing wine and getting nothing done.
I suppose. But I just kind of thought, yeah, silliness.
I don't know. Yeah. I did enjoy this whole, use the Prime Radiant. It was nice to see sort of the religious experience of it. It reminds you of why this is such a magical thing. And I mean, beautiful animation.
And I love when she does confront both Dusk and Demerzel with the knowledge that we now know that Empire has the Prime Radiant. That scene between Dusk and Quint, and the lines they use, he's trying to make it work and it doesn't. And she says, "I understand. It happens sometimes. Maybe if you wait a minute." and then Dusk responds, "Oh, calm down. I've got it now." And this confirms my suspicions that the two of them are an item. Because
I think
it seems to be an ongoing theme for all of the Dusks that they certainly enjoy engaging in intimacy with women. I mean, presumably some of them might engage in intimacy with men, but we only ever see the women. But
at least it's age appropriate.
I just thought they were such a cute couple.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them as far as, an evil person and an incompetent person. I would absolutely call this Dusk evil, by the way. With the Death Star, I mean, come on.
Well, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But even people can have their cute sides.
Sure. Yeah, everybody's complex. I'm just saying he's veering on the side of evil here because we're going to tip the scales a little bit.
Oh, I think he's gone off the deep end of evil. Yeah. No doubt about it. But anyway, as you say, complexity. Yeah. And please, Demerzel barely concealed herself when she turned her back. And
I know.
That was just silly.
That was kind of
have
silly.
Her take 3 more steps and walk behind a screen that is between her and Quint before she rips open her chest. And
just have her pretend to go get it from another room, right? Like,
seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. What were they thinking? I don't know.
I mean, I will say this: in this world of technology where there's a lot of nanotechnology, maybe it would be more assumed that they had something to like conceal it in plain sight than it would be that Demerzel's a robot.
Maybe. I don't know. It seemed off to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I was like, huh? What are you doing there?
Yeah. And I thought, oh, did we really have to see this again?
Yeah. But something I was very glad to see was Cleon versus Cleon.
That was fascinating, wasn't it? Tell us more, John.
Let's see. Day visits the original Cleon's projection to ask about his activity on Mycogen in the 26th year of his reign. Cleon 1 tells Day that Emperor Aberanus rid Mycogen of most of the inheritance, but others escaped underground. Cleon 1's mission was to destroy the remnant. There, he took tools that were holy relics to the inheritance and gave them to Demerzel. Day spits on his creator and goes to see Demerzel. He muses with her about her perfection and steals one of the tools she uses for her maintenance. And, of course, we have a very important note here that Mycogen is big for the food supply, so do not mess with them so much.
Yes. Watch that space, I think.
Yeah.
I can't think of any direct analog.
And I think that's the second time it's been alluded to. Like, I think there was, they grow yeast. Yeah, there's
right.
been a couple references to it. So I think they are seeding that for a later disaster. I mean, if you can't feed Trantor, it's done, right?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Because being an entire city planet, there are no spaces with crops to, feed even a small community, never mind the massive one that they're dealing with.
Right.
I was very interested, again, Lee Pace, chef's kiss all the way. He seemed to be behaving with such gravitas and formality and almost even a touch of humility. And yet there was this sort of tension, and I thought, okay, his teeth are on edge because he knows if he doesn't do it this way, he's not going to get anybody to come out of the stasis and talk.
Right.
Right. Also interesting was that the dusk form of the Cleon handed over to the day form. He said, oh, that was before my time, so you better talk to this dude. Which, if they're all supposed to share all the same memories and whatever, what's the point of that? But it was interesting to see and be reminded of how much the drift has occurred between the original day and this day. I mean, just the visuals. Here's this Roman centurion type with the cropped hair and all the rest of it, and here's this, John the Baptist type with the long hair and the weird gown and all the rest of it. So that was a nice visual reminder of just how much things have slipped.
It's very interesting, not just the drift, but watching. I actually liked that they put Lee Pace instead of, I can't remember the name of the older Dusk, but I enjoyed that they went to that because it reminds you that this wasn't just this old man who cloned himself. This was the Emperor. This was Empire.
Right.
And watching him sort of, wish him good luck. I hope you'll do better than I did on the inheritance. Keep the dream alive. Keep the dream alive. I think that's the last thing that Cleon 1 said before Day spat on him.
Yeah, wasn't that a violent shock? A violent shock.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, as I say, my reading of him was, respectful, courteous, and all that kind of thing. But he just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Exactly what he thought of him, which was kind of fascinating. And the dynamic between Day and Demerzel at this point, she's really pulled back. I think she realized that she made a mistake by trying to stroke Day's face, and knows that he is some pissed with her.
I think she would have been wiser to just wipe the memory of her being a robot and let him keep Song.
Interesting.
I think that would have kept him placated enough.
Huh. I see something slightly different, but we'll get there when we get there. Her line that I am compelled to protect you even when it causes pain. But I think that was causing her a lot more pain than it was causing Day. I think this whole rising fury of Day has been cooking for a really long time.
Yeah, I do too.
And, he's just openly mocking her now. He responds in a very robotic voice. That was very well done. I almost believed in your humanity, kind of thing. It oddly very painful scene for me. And again, such a human situation for Demerzel. It's like, what happens when the guy you love just throws it back in your face.
Right.
And yet, is this me just projecting too much of my human experience upon this robot? I don't know.
And Demerzel in such a weird spot because she's acted as mother, advisor, sister, lover to this being that is almost immortal, but yet so chained to humanity. Mm-hmm. I mean, the very names of these emperors signal their humanity, right? Dawn, day, dusk. Is that they are constantly going through this cycle and that she will never go through.
And yet that's exactly what Varela said she had done.
Just over a much longer period of time.
Right. And maybe that's why it stung Demerzel so much.
Right.
Because she's thinking in those terms of the cycle of the days. And now Varela is saying, oh, but you've been cycling too. And I suppose if you tell a robot that they're not, universally and always what they are, that could be a threatening thought. And yet, if they're acquiring more information and updating their programming and, repairing themselves and all these things, surely they recognize that they're subject to the ravages of time. Well, just in a different way.
Right. Yeah, that's really interesting. Something else I wanted to talk about with the Mycogen food supply is this is such a great world building detail that the food supply and the chain is the same under Cleon the First and Cleon the 26th. We're almost at 24th. Just centuries later, that empire, this clone empire, has led to the stagnation of development. Right, there is still the same food supply. There are still the same weaknesses. There is still the same, the same stress points that they were under the first emperor.
Well, and I'm assuming, but I guess it's wrong. Because, when they were a vaster empire and they had all their Stargate jumps in place and they could travel and, that equivalent of the early Roman Empire, or the Roman Empire at its height, when it was drawing in resources from all of the places that it had conquered over time, I think Trantor had to be doing that too.
That's probably true. But it seems like Mycogen...
But Mycogen has been...
It is a crucial breadbasket, right?
And all the more so now, when they've lost all those connections and planet after planet has been breaking away, and maybe the trade networks are starting to threaten the food trucks or the food ships, if you will, and all kinds of things.
All right, well, let's track these two emperors as they flee.
Yes,
indeed. We've got two escapes. Dawn goes to see Gale, who appears in person this time, and he's like, oh, we're in trouble now. They are followed and narrowly escape with Gale's mentalic abilities. She reveals the second foundation as they enter space. Meanwhile, Day convinces the commander to help him escape. Outside the barriers, Day removes his aura and extracts his nanites, sensing betrayal. Day shoots the commander, saying he was loyal, but to someone else. He injects the nanites into the commander's body and hides it for Demerzel to find. Both Cleons escape, leaving behind the fading dusk of Empire.
And that is such a poetic way of putting it, John. I congratulate you.
Well, thank you. I think that would be great, though, to have, especially this dusk really wants to outlive his lifespan.
You betcha.
Is Demerzel going to let him because he's the only one left? Somebody's got to rule this thing.
She's just going to descant two more, isn't she?
You're right.
Unless that technology falls apart, which is certainly a possibility.
Oh, what if this this dust destroys the replacements?
It would be a way of ensuring that he lasted out as long as he could until his brain went, I suppose.
But if he does that, and they lose the existing Dawn and Day, will that be? And he dies. Will that be the end of the dynasty? Right?
Could well be. I mean, unless Demerzel has enough knowledge of generating new beings from genetic whatevers, and
But even so, you have to wait for them to be born and grow, right? You can't just have a Cleon out the next day.
I thought you could. I thought, in terms of the mature Cleon.
Oh, maybe.
My impression was that, at the end of season 2, when we saw one of them, Cleon, one of the days drift off into space, that Demerzel just got on a ship, went home, and decanted a new day.
No, yeah, I think that's true. I guess in my head, and I think I'm wrong actually, but I guess in my head I was like, there's a couple copies of each one.
Oh, I see.
And they are tracking. They were made at the same age, at the same time. They were all born at the same time as their appropriate age.
I suppose
maybe
it could
I'm
be,
wrong.
But I'm not sure how that squares with the whole concept of the genetic drift over time.
I don't know.
Which seems to imply they're all still coming from the same source. I don't know.
I think they are. There's like a. I don't know. I don't think we can think that hard about this one. I think we gotta let this go. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
Pay no attention to the to the robot behind the curtain.
To the technobabble.
Right. So tell me, John, do you still think that Day is the compassionate one? Which is what you said last week.
Yes, I do. I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
I also think that he was correct, and he's smarter than we gave him credit for. He is compassionate, but he's also smart. And he saw that there was an impending betrayal, and so he shot first.
But he set this whole thing up way back when he was dicing and drinking with the bros.
I don't think he did. I
do. Because of his line where he says, I can play the sucker, but only when necessary. And the Clavager's saying, we all thought you were a sucker because of your bets and whatever. And Day said, no, I was watching how Clavagers work. And when they're certain, they tap their cards. And I think it was in his mind all along.
See, I don't think so. I think he made up his mind when the signal happened, when the lights flashed off and on.
I saw that.
He saw that signal, and that seemed like a turning point. Because he says, my nanites go to you. They were always going to go to you, right?
Right.
And
they were always going to go to you. They were never going to go to her daughter. To his daughter.
I think he meant possession. Like, this was always going to be your end of the bargain. But I do think he was genuinely going to give them to his daughter. I think he was going to give them in a vial, hand them to him, therefore they go to him, and he was going to go on his merry way. I don't think that this was planned from the beginning. I do think that this was
improvised.
I think it was improvised, and I think that Day was hurt, honestly. I think he was genuinely hurt that the Clavager, which we never got a name for him, did we?
No, he was always the Clavager.
But I think he was always just, he was genuinely hurt that didn't work out, that this was not a true friend.
Well, I think this Day has got a loyal supporter in you, John, and I hope he appreciates that. I'm just looking at the whole track of his behavior, the cruelty to Demerzel, spitting at the feet of his ancestor, going to his ancestor to find out, all right, so what did you get in Mycogen? The subtext here being, what do I need to get in there? And that's why he steals one of the tools from Demerzel's kit.
Absolutely, yeah.
All of this suggests forethought to me. And I think he could have had this plan in mind from the beginning when Song was still alive. Well, when Song was not altered, I guess, when her memory was not altered. But once that happened, I think all the compassion went out the window, and he was furious. And he was going to go down there. He was going to, and the very last line that he says, no one can escape Empire, not even Empire, but I'm going to see how far I can go.
Right.
He's checking out by whatever means necessary. And I think he is full of rage and doesn't care who gets hurt in the process, and was planning all along, because in a sense, at some level, I think he knew that the Clavager could never permit him to escape, even if, he had the keys to the house where his family was going to live in safety the rest of their lives. I just don't think there was that much trust between them, because at the end of the day, it was an entirely transactional relationship. And they could be pally and broy and all the rest of it. But practically the first thing that the Clavenger says after Day shoots him is, well, we thought you were the sucker. Which says they were looking at him in a very different light from the way the Clavenger was presenting it. Clavenger was playing a very difficult game here.
Yeah.
And I think he did the best he could. He just wasn't counting on Day being so observant.
Right.
Not knowing that all along, his death warrant had already been written. That's how I interpret the Day's line of...
I think I'm
the
still
nanites go to you. The nanites go to you. They were always going to go to you.
Yeah.
Now, I could see where you would interpret that as they're going to go to you and you'll give them to your daughter. That's just not what I heard. But,
well, they were in a vial. He could have, right? If he had let him walk away, he could have.
He had to take him out of his arm. He stuck the thing in his vein and he drained it into a container.
Right, but he was going to give that container to him, right? And so I guess that's where we're disagreeing. I do think that if he could have let the Clavenger go free, he would have. I think we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this.
No, I can see it that far. I can see it that far, but I would still say I don't see compassion in, well, if I can, I will, but if I can't, tough beans.
Well, it was a survival. It was a survival mode, right?
I will use these tools to my advantage. That's not compassion in my mind, but
I do think he was compassionate. I think he wanted those nanites to go to the daughter, but now he has no way to get them to her, right?
I think he wanted it as a tool to convince the Clavenger to go ahead and risk everything.
Yeah, I think that's true too.
As he could.
I don't think that completely negates his compassion, though. I think he's got more than we're giving him credit for.
Well, then I'm giving credit for it. You're giving him credit.
Well, listen, you're the one who defended the who is the villain? Jude Law's character on Skeleton Crew.
Fair point.
I
Fair point.
would say that there's arguably more compassion here than in Jude Law's character.
Wow. Okay. We shall see. Of course, maybe we won't see. Maybe they're just leaving it to us to figure out for ourselves. I thought it was really funny that Day announced his entrance to the family with his ferret. He let the ferret in the house first, and everybody say, "Oh my gosh, Day is coming." And a fun fact here: I looked up the word capillus, which is the name of the ferret, Capillus, and it's Latin for hair.
Oh,
especially for hair on the head or hair on animals. And we got to say this is a very hairy ferret, so I think that's the connection. I also think it's very funny that it is also the name of a contemporary company, which makes, wait for it, laser caps for hair recovery.
Good for them. We all need some treatment sometime.
Yeah. So, once I saw Day determine a course of action, I really saw Empire in him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that all of his behavior before with the drugging and whatever could very well have been a means of masking this underlying plot, because it seems to me that the theme of this episode is all iterations of Empire were looking for a way out.
Yeah, I
and
think
having found Sang and having known that, she's not the kind of person who would go away with him to wherever, the going to Mycogen was part of his hope to escape, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I honestly, though, I think that the drugs were his escape for a while. I do think he wanted to escape.
Yeah.
But I think that this whole plan hatched with the disappearing of Sang.
Yeah, no, that could be. That very well could be.
I do think I mostly take him at his word so far.
Mm-hmm. But I agree absolutely that the disappearing of Sang was a turning point for him. And, all of the masks were torn off as far as his interactions with Demerzel from that point on. Right. He just did not care anymore. I mean, that's the point at which, no, it's right before then when he starts calling Demerzel on it, isn't it? The amazing camera work scene that I referred to at the beginning was, you see the very, very still body of water. Mm-hmm. And then the body, pun not intended, slips into the water and the lights on it and everything. It's I don't know what it was, but I just found that a really beautiful construction of that scene. So,
great camera work. I didn't love Dawn being. First of all, his goatee's terrible, but second,
it looks kind of. I don't know.
I know,
Ratty.
just the whole
scruffy.
We call ourselves the Second Foundation again. A little bit cringy
theatrical?
Dialogue. I was not a huge fan of that dialogue.
Yeah, it was kind of theatrical.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just thought when he was going in for the second time in the lower level, it's very funny how some technology just doesn't change. They're all using umbrellas. It just looks so odd to me. I don't know why.
You don't even have like a levitating umbrella that you don't have to hold?
Yeah, or just a force field to cast over your head. Maybe they did once, and now they've had to revert to umbrellas as a further sign of the,
I feel like we should get
Empire.
umbrella hats back in fashion,
Yeah, that could be fun.
I think we should do it.
That could be fun.
At the Lorehounds, we'll all be wearing them.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm looking forward to the Lorehounds whenever and however it happens. So now all of the days, all of the iterations of Empire are trying to escape their fate, their destiny.
Right. Dusk is just not geographically doing that.
No. I mean, his escape is to keep living as long as possible. And, of course, I think that his absolutely vile idea of a gift for what he thinks the Ascending Dawn is just a bribe to continue living as long as possible. I don't think that's probably he cares anymore about, I don't think he cares anymore about the survival of Empire in the broad context. I think he only cares about the survival of Empire in his own person.
Right.
This Empire is going to carry on regardless.
That's probably right.
Yeah. And see, getting back to Day again, I think he was seeking a way to bring down Demerzel because he's so furious that she interfered with his life to an extent. And her expression of caring for him just absolutely appalled him. And that was just the last straw. I have a hard time imagining that he actually loved Song.
Mm-hmm. You think?
Well, there's nothing in his life that would lead him to that kind of instinct or behavior. I mean, it was clearly intended to be eradicated every time they visited the Gossamer Palace.
Mm-hmm.
Gossamer Court, excuse me. Demerzel was his mother. Clearly, that just doesn't work anymore, if it ever did.
Right.
And there's a sort of a fraternal fellowship between the three iterations, but there's also a heck of a lot of tension and conflict. And I'm you, you're me. The Middle Throne says no. Where would he learn to love in that fashion?
It's true.
Possessiveness, but I just think he's more furious at being thwarted.
Right. His possession got taken away more than more than his lover got taken away. Yeah.
Demerzel broke his toys.
Yeah.
So I had a question. We've been told that Selden's plan only works with large masses of people and not with individuals. But of course, Selden is an individual, and he thought, Harry did, that as an individual, he could keep the plan on track.
Mm-hmm.
And another anomalous individual, the mule, has thrown it off entirely. And now Selden expects a third individual, Gale, to save it. So I'm beginning to wonder, at the end of the day, aren't all individuals anomalous?
Yes.
And we're moving away from the book representation to some degree. Anyway, I won't go any further than that.
I think you're right, but I also think that the book even had certain people, because they were outside of the regular predictability,
right.
Could mess up with the plan.
Yeah, and also tinker with it to keep it on track.
Yeah,
but you said certain groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking again about individuals.
Yeah. Well, certain individuals could mess up the plan and get it back on.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So, I don't know. It's just, again, this interesting tension between fate and free will, if you will, to oversimplify it. So, I can't remember if I mentioned this on a previous recording, but...
you did mention the Kale Prime Radio.
The Kale thing?
Yep.
And what in the world does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also thinking back to that again, when Hari says to her, Salvor said someone wanted me to have skin in the game. Why? And Kali says, because we can't. So who's we? Who is Kali? Which again, we've been talking about before. Some people thought that Kali looked very much like Hari's former wife, but I don't think Hari's wife wrote Kali's ninth proof of folding.
No.
I think she used it. So I think that's kind of a misunderstanding. I'd be curious if there are any mathematicians listening. Does this name, Kali's ninth proof of folding, sound like the sort of names that people give to mathematical formulas and other mathematical nomenclature for such things? I'm just wondering. I mean, obviously, proof. That's I've heard of different proofs in mathematics before, but
it sounds like the ninth piece in a series of origami art pieces.
Yeah, right.
The ninth proof that I folded something.
Yeah. So I already mentioned all the iterations of Empire doing their best to escape their current fates, but maybe this is what leads to the downfall of Empire, that they all run away, and suddenly run away!
Yeah. None of the emperors, it's so weird to say empires as people, so I always revert to emperor, but none of the iterations of Empire seem to want to deal with the consequences of anything.
Not at this point. I mean, I think that's supposed to show both the decay of Empire, but also the genetic drift and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Although this Dawn does seem to have some level of, I want to preserve humanity.
I agree. Which again is why I think if we're going to give any awards for compassion, he should be first in the line. But I was also wondering, who is the we, as I mentioned above, and now I'm wondering if it's other cognizant elements within the Prime Radiant who were sending a warning about the coming of the mule. Why the sudden appearance of the mule tail within the Prime Radiant. Where did that come from? It certainly didn't come from the mathematics.
Well, that's interesting. Now that you're saying that, I mean, Harry's vault can make things real, right? Make things physically real. Can Harry's vault create a personification of a mathematical equation or a mathematical proof? I don't know, because Kali's ninth proof was used in the Prime Radiant, right? That was something stated at some point.
Way back in season 1,
I think it was, but
Hari's way of drawing in other people who had his level of mathematical understanding. So Kali's proof of folding had existed for quite a long time.
Okay,
but it posed a query or an anomaly that no one had been able to solve. And so Gale was able to solve Kali's ninth proof of folding. And that was what brought her to Harry's attention and led to her invitation to leave Synex and go to Trantor. And, basically that's what kicked off the story, as I remember.
Right. Any other speculation you have here?
That's it for now. I'm pure out of speculation for the time being. But, I mean, what a rich episode that there's so many things that they have that are leading me to speculate in all kinds of directions. It's fun.
Very cool. Well, Marilyn, it's always a pleasure to talk Foundation to you. Because of my scheduling, I'm going to do the housekeeping when I edit this. But I will see you on the next episode of Foundation. All right, everyone. I am back to talk about the outro. I'm going to keep it really brief because I'm in the middle of traveling and this is going to be tough for me to fit in this recording at all. But I want to remind you to check out our affiliates, Nevermind the Music for Music and Psychology, Radioactive Ramblings for their Fallout lore, Red Rising, Studio Ghibli, all that. Also, Woolshift Dust is doing Dune. The Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast will be back soon. Properly Howard is finishing up their season on Bacon Wrap. That's Kevin Bacon. And make sure you check out upcoming Lorehounds coverage like our Emmys conversations with Alicia leading the charge, our second breakfast bonus content for subscribers, and 11sies with Heat, and also our upcoming coverage of Alien Earth and Peacemaker. So thanks, everyone. Here's the quick thank yous for our Discord server boosters Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena A, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, and Radioactive Richard, and our lore masters Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, Brian P, SC, Peter OH, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Matthew M, Sarah M, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Deadeye Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey B, Elisa U, Neil F, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Kali S, Ilmariel, /Tim, Paul K, Bobby C, Jessica H, and Adrian. Thanks everyone for listening, for being here with us on this Foundation journey, and we'll see you next week.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.